Hey, welcome to the workshop. Do you want me to say hey?
Yeah,
What's
I like
up?
hey.
Hey.
What's up? Holla.
Hi. Hey, welcome to the workshop, where we want to give you one quick tool to help you in your spiritual walk. My name is Alexis Cutz. I'm part of challenge staff here at CBU.
And I'm Brian Zunigha, Director of Discipleship. And today we're going to talk about quiet times. So, Alexis, what is a quiet time?
I think when I first hear that word, kind of sounds a little corny. It sounds almost like elementary type stuff, a nap or something like that.
Grab your carpet squares.
Yeah, so thinking about this quiet time idea, in our generation or in our time right now, we're so full of noise all the time.
Yeah.
New podcasts, music streaming. We could scroll through stories, Twitter, Instagram. We're always busy with noise.
That's right.
And so to be able to stop and be quiet, we see Jesus do this in Matthew 14.
Yeah.
We see him get away to pray. It's super applicable today because when we can be quiet and be still, we want to then fill ourselves with knowing who God is.
So even if the name's a little corny, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, totally. Because I think everything today is all about filling ourselves with noise.
And the one big tool that we were just talking about, S.O.A.P, like a tool on how to really engage Scripture.
Yeah.
Why don't you walk through that with us?
Yeah, totally. So S.O.A.P is a way to read through Scripture that's helped me. So it stands for Scripture, Observation, Application, and Prayer. That's made it really helpful. So you literally just write out S.O.A.P, S-O-A-P.
Yeah.
So you write out the Scripture that you're reading. If I'm in, right now I'm in Matthew, so I'd write out Matthew 14, whatever verses I read. Then observations. What am I reading? Application is then applying, making one small step, an application from what I read into my, whether it's daily life to my week. And hopefully we create those habits that then impact our life forever. And then after that is prayer. Based off of everything that I just read, everything that I just observed, and what I want to apply, how can I pray? Praying through this Scripture.
That's good. I love that format. Let's walk through that. So Scripture.
So in Scripture, walking through that is actually writing out what that Scripture is, opening to somewhere. I'd say start in John.
Why John?
So if you're especially a new follower of Jesus, you could find out the story. So there's the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. John is one that's easy to just walk through, that gives the story of Jesus' life. And that's just a great place to start because we want to know more of who Jesus is. And Scripture is a great place to start. We want to become like Jesus.
That's good. As you're reading Scripture, you said the next thing was, observation. Are there any specific questions you maybe use or things you're looking for when you're writing down observations about what you're reading?
Yeah, so in Challenge, we have these things called tribes. And so through tribes, we read through Scripture together. And what's cool is we ask these questions. And these questions are applicable in a group setting, but also by yourself when you're going through SOAP in your time alone with God. So the questions are, the first one is, what is this Scripture even talking about? So you could write out, when I read this, what is it talking about? Yeah. What's the theme of this? What's happening? What am I seeing? Then from there, you could ask, what does it say about God? I think it's super important to always start with God instead of ourselves, because I think sometimes we open up the Bible and we're like, all right, what am I going to get out of this?
I think that's one of my favorite things about those questions that we use is it directs us to God first before we start trying to put ourselves in that story.
Yeah. So what does it say about God? Then what does it say about humans?
Okay.
And sometimes when we're reading, we hope that it'll say something great, but most of the time it shows us.
We're people in need.
Yeah. And typically when I do that, it easily will turn back to me to show me, man, there's areas that I still need to grow in. So then once I go through that question, then the last question is how could I apply this to my life? So after reading this, whether it's a chapter, a few verses, how can I apply this to my life?
And you would write all those things out in a notebook?
Yeah. So just, again, open out a notebook, S, write out the Scripture, O, and then just make, whether it's bullet points. If you're an artist, some people I've seen, they draw in their notebooks. I can't do that. I just do quick, little notes and bullet points that I can remember. Some people will write out paragraphs.
Can't even write complete sentences. Yeah. Just bullet pointing.
No, for real. So, I mean, and that's the cool thing is that's, at that point, there's no right way to actually write out the observation.
Yeah, you're just trying to engage with Scripture.
Totally.
Hear from God.
Yeah. Whatever helps you, the best way to learn as you're writing it out.
That's good. Well, man, that's a great tool, SOAP. So Scripture, observation, application, prayer. Writing it out in a notebook seems like a great plan. It's something that I've done. Yeah. Really been helpful to me. So that's a tool for you. SOAP. Quiet times. It helps you learn how to have a good quiet time. It's a great format.
Yeah, totally.
Thanks.
Yeah, and so this was the workshop. Also, as part of Challenge, we have tribes. We also have Challenge Night every Wednesday, 8:30 in Innovators. We'd love for you to join us. If you're watching this online, at the top right, there is a thing you can click that says the app. Download the app. There you have all the information for Challenge, for tribes, as well as podcast content that we're going to be putting out. We're super grateful that you joined us. Again, my name is Alexis Cutz with Challenge.
Brian Zuniga.
Thanks. This was the workshop.